Everybody, welcome into Faith and Football. My name is Neil, and we made it. It is past week one. We might have a few more heart palpitations lagging from last night's game. And if you had anybody from Chicago or the Vikings, they gave you an absolutely fabulous finish. Maybe not the first half, because if you had JJ McCarthy, you really weren't happy until after halftime. Um, but we'll get into his stats here in a minute and what it looks like to squeeze out a win. But I'm letting you know right now, I don't know if you guys had as many storylines going on as we did, but we had uh, guys going in one league that they were going against in another. They had them in our league, they didn't have them in the other, and it was chaos all night long. Unfortunately, I was at work trying to keep tabs on this. Thankfully, my manager also plays with us, so that was a plus because we got to keep up as much as we could. And I don't know if anybody else had a good week. I hope you did. Um, I had an outstanding week, both fantasy football wise and for the home team. Well, my home team anyway. Washington absolutely manhandled the Giants, so was thrilled about that outcome. But I'm more thrilled to bring you the message that I have for you today before we get into what week one meant, fantasy football wise. Hopefully, I can give you a word to take into this week from God, and that's what we do here, guys. We try to uplift, we try to inspire, and we try to remind you that not only can you see God in the small, minute places, but if you're close to Him, if you're walking with Him, if you have a relationship with Him, then you're able to look around you, even at the worst times, even in times when things don't seem like they're going that well. For some of us, it was Thursday night. Fantasy football wise, it was Thursday night, and maybe it was you had a hard week, and going into the weekend was just your moment. Okay. But I want to read from you, and this message was inspired by a message from Pastor Robert Madu with Social Dallas. If you guys don't know who that is, I encourage you, go find him. He's on YouTube. Just look up Social Dallas and you'll be able to find him. Absolutely fabulous pastor, fabulous speaker. Love the stories that he tells. Love the way that he brings the word of God um, from his pulpit. So, verse today is from Hebrews chapter 12, verses 5 through 9. And this was the what he brought, uh, and it just kind of inspired me to convey that to my audience as well. It says, "And have you completely forgotten this word of encouragement that addresses you as a father addresses his son? It says, 'My son, do not make light of the Lord's discipline, and do not lose heart when he rebukes you, because the Lord disciplines the one he loves, and he chastens, that means he runs after, everyone he accepts as his son. Endure hardship and discipline. God is treating you as his children. For what children are not disciplined by their father? If you are not disciplined and everyone undergoes discipline, then you are not legitimate, not true sons and daughters at all. Moreover, we have human fathers who disciplined us and we respected them for it. How much more should we submit to the Father of the spirits and live?" Now, that's a lot in those few verses. It speaks of God disciplining us. And how many, let me put it like this. You know these we see them on TV, these rich kids that get spoiled, that get everything they want. They got the trust fund babies and stuff like that. Here's the thing is that most of the time there are stipulations with a trust fund. Like you have to be a certain age before you can touch that money. You have to fulfill certain requirements before you receive what your father has set aside for you. And how many know that we always want daddy's money, but we may not want daddy's requirements? Think about that. Like, we want the blessing of God, we want the mercy of God, but we may not want to do what God's asking us to do in order to get that. He tells us to put Him first, to die to self so that we may live for Him. Now, how many know that's easier said than done a lot of times? Like, how many times do you wake up in the morning and God isn't the first thing on your mind. It's the bills or the job or the kids or the wife or the house or the dog. It's like there's one thing after the other that comes at you if you're not centered on God. Like if you don't have him in the middle of your life to where everything else revolves around him instead of everything revolving around you. And we live in a society where social media, and I know I'm speaking on a platform that does this, but where social media glorifies us, they call it main character energy. Well, that's great to have. It's great to, know that you have worth, that you have self-worth and be aware of that and want to live in that. But how about God energy? How about God character energy? How about that? How about we start that? And let's see how much better our lives are when we put God and what He asks us to do before the world and what it expects us to do. See, the world expects you to get revenge, to get back those that got you. You know, I'm I love Tyler Perry and the Medea movies, and there's a scene in one of them where he's sitting with Dr. Phil, and it says, uh, "You got to get the goddess before the goddess gets you." So, well, why do you got to get anybody? And this goes back to again, I can bring this back to the Bible because the Bible tells us that vengeance is mine, says the Lord. So God will take care of the godders. You ain't got to go get them because if God's got you, he can get them. It's not your responsibility. It's not up to you. And sometimes, just as in fantasy, and especially week one, we want to overreact. We've got that knee-jerk reaction when something doesn't go our way, when something doesn't go the way that we expect it to go. We have that knee-jerk reaction that we got to trash the whole thing and start over again, or whatever we were doing was wrong because we hit an obstacle or we hit a roadblock or we didn't get the way it didn't turn out the way that we wanted it to. So maybe God is trying to turn you to the way that he wants you to go, as opposed to you relying on yourself. So he will discipline you. And I don't know about you guys, but I was a paddle kid. I grew up, my dad was really into woodworking. Like he was a really good carpenter. He worked at a furniture factory for a little bit making furniture. So he was good with his hands and wood, and he made two different paddles. One, I remember uh, I referred to it as the pork chop because it was about this long, about that thick. And then we had one that looked like a paint stir. It was about this long, but it was only about that thin. Not that much wind resistance, and it covered a lot of area. The other one had a little weight behind it. And when we got out of line, when we misbehaved, Dad was quick to go, hey, go pick your paddle. And we knew what was coming. And we bent over and we got the spanking, and I know that's a, a bad word or an evil word, but I'm going to tell you right now, it drove the point home, you know. Now, I'm not saying that I turned out perfect because of it, or I didn't do things that I wasn't supposed to do because of it. But what it did show me is that my parents loved me enough to try to take steps to correct my behavior. The same way that God will take steps to correct your behavior. And whether that's letting you have what you want, like the prodigal son, where he asked for his inheritance, he got his inheritance, he got what he wanted, he got everything he wanted, but because he wasn't ready to handle it, he blew it all, he wasted it all, and he got in a very dark place. He got very depressed, and he came back home. But he didn't come home as a son, he came home wanting to be a servant. But when he did come back to his father, he was accepted as what he was, as what he is, as what his father looked at him as, which was his son. So today, as we go through the overreaction for week one, I want to remind you guys, if you're going through something, if you're going through a hard time, if you just keep hitting your head against that proverbial brick wall, it's okay. Maybe God has the wall there for a reason. Maybe he's making you go through certain things to build you up, because the Bible calls God a potter at times, and the potter works with clay. And there are times when he has to break the clay down to mold it again into the image that he wants it to be. It's not up to the pot to determine the shape that it's going to be in. It's up to the craftsman that's working with it. So let God work in your life this week or this weekend. Maybe you didn't have players that worked out the way you wanted them to. Maybe it's time to move on from them. Maybe it's time to take a step back and go and reevaluate and go, why did this player perform badly? Turn that on yourself. Why am I going down this road? Is it because it's somewhere that I don't need to be? Or is God trying to toughen me up for something else that he has for me? And the only way you're going to know this is if you're close to the Father. Because remember, the Bible tells us that his voice it's a small, still voice. And the only way to hear that voice is to be quiet, be silent, and be close enough to hear him. So I hope that that helped out with some of your weekend uh, debacle. Some of us. I hope that brought a little light into maybe a little bit of cockiness that you're walking around with, which some of us, it's well deserved that, God does want us to appreciate the blessings that he brings for us. So appreciate them, but remember that week two is literally right around the corner. We've got 48 hours, and I'm recording this a little late, so I'll apologize ahead of time. Usually I get this out, but as I said, with working Monday night, it's a little hard. So Thursday, uh, I fully intend to have a recording on Wednesday night. Now, we're going to get into the football side of faith and football. I hope that the faith side brought you some inspiration and some helpful insight. So, and you guys know if you're new to the show, first of all, welcome in. But whenever you see me go for the tumbler, you guys know it's time to give thanks to my sponsors. You know, we always give thanks to God. We always give thanks to our Creator for giving us the breath to get out of bed. And I take this short period of time to thank the sponsors who have backed me since the beginning. And that is none other than Zia Rotisserie Grill at 235 Duce Road off of Johnson Street in Lafayette, Louisiana. Guys, if you are in the area, go down. I know they look like they're closed. They're under construction. They're doing some major improvements. So don't be afraid. There's still parking available. Go in, mention that you heard about them from Faith and Football, pick up your free, yes, I said free, appetizer from them. All you got to do is say, hey, I heard about you guys from Faith and Football. They said I can get a free appetizer for the table. So go ahead and let's go down there, check out whatever you guys want. No appetizers off limits. You can get the hummus. You can get the fried cauliflower. Yes, they have fried cauliflower. Look, we're in the South, guys. They fry everything down here. So you get the Kung Pao cauliflower. You want some shrimp? We got you. The Asian almond shrimp is delicious. And if you want to kind of dive in and see what the ribs are about, go ask them for the appetizer rib stack. Comes in a 4 or a 6 bone. So go down there and check them out. Tell them that Neil from Faith and Football sent you. And who knows, you might even see me down there. But make sure you go and check them out. 235 Duce Road off of Johnson Street, Lafayette, Louisiana. And if you're in the area and you need some catering done, 337-406-0013 is the number to call, and they will help you out with whatever you guys want. Now, I will tell you guys this. Um, they have a back room that is absolutely phenomenal. So go down there, check them out. If you want a party, they got the back room available. Give them a call, book the back room. They can hook you up some catering. Maybe you don't want to deal with having a server in and out, and you guys just want to have a little get together. They can take care of that. Maybe you want it at your place. They got you there too because they will do off-site catering. Give them a call, talk to Andy or any of the people who pick up the phone, and they'd be more than happy to help you out with whatever your catering needs are. You don't know, they do. Give them a call, tell them what you're thinking, and they will help walk you through the process. They're absolutely phenomenal. Customer service is second to none. So check them out. 337-406-0013 is the number. And don't forget my sweetest sponsor, Keller's Bakery, in Youngsville, Louisiana, at 627 Lafayette Street in Youngsville, Louisiana. And my boy Dusty's down there with his family. They own Keller's Bakery, and they have authorized me to tell you that you get 2 free cookies if you go in, no purchase necessary, which I don't see how you could go in there and not buy something. I guess it's possible, but go down there, whatever you guys want, they got you covered. Sweet treats, king cake, not in king cake season. You got a football party you're throwing on the weekend, guys, they got you covered. They'll do you a king cake in whatever colors you want. Maybe not Dallas blue, but no, I'm joking. They will do Dallas. They might have a problem doing Atlanta because they are Saints fans, but I'm sure you can talk them into it. Go check them out and mention Faith and Football sent you and pick up your 2 free cookies. Nobody has to know about it but us. It's okay. I won't tell the missus that you're sneaking a couple of cookies on the way home with the birthday cake or the cookie box or the assortment of goodies that they have down there. But go check them out, 627 Lafayette Street, Youngsville, Louisiana. And if you're in downtown Lafayette, make sure you're swinging by 603 Jefferson Street inside of Gordon Square. That's Ami's grocery. They are doing phenomenal work. If you're a little hungry, maybe you're in the area, you want something different, you want something on the go, they got you covered. They have a walking taco bowl, delicious. It's Taco Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. The menu changes all the time, so make sure you're checking out the little chalkboard stand that they have out there and see what's on the menu for that day. Maybe you're in the area and you don't know what to do for dinner. They got you covered there too because they have frozen family meals that you can pick up in their frozen section, and they are absolutely phenomenal for helping out the local economy because they have over 200 local items from over 50 different local vendors. Farm fresh eggs, beef jerky, freeze-dried candy, and yes, even with the dentures, I will still mess up a bag of freeze-dried ice cream sandwiches. Well, as long as my wife doesn't get to them first. But they are delicious. Go down there at 603 Jefferson Street inside of Gordon Square and just tell Bradley down at Amis that Neil sent you and he says hi. So sorry, don't have any freebies for you for that one, but it's an absolutely fabulous place to go check out. So week one, guys. I don't know if you guys won or lost. I hope you won. Um, I won the majority of my leagues. I'm in like six different leagues, so it's a lot. I got I got three dynasty, three redraft. The one that I reference here is the Zia Thunderdome 2025 league, and we're going to take a look at that in a minute. But what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to kind of calm down, kind of breathe a little bit because the overreaction from a bad performance, we want to hit the panic button on some players. And I'm telling you right now, breathe, calm down, and also don't overreact to the players that just popped off week one because there's always those few players that have an outstanding week one and then you never hear from them again, or they suck you in with that week one performance, and that's what you're waiting for. You're waiting for that week one performance every single time, and it never comes. So I want to read you guys a couple of players that popped off week one last year that you did not want on your team for the remainder of the season because they would just drag you down. So starting at quarterback, last year, Anthony Richardson, 30.02 points in week one. And then week 11, another 30-point performance. And you're thinking, wow, that sounds awesome. That's the guy I want for my quarterback on fantasy football. Think again, because between weeks 2 and 10, he scored a total combined 44.44 points for weeks 2 through 10. Guys, that's not a recipe for success in your league. That's a streaming option. And not even that, because he did play really bad defenses in that 2 to 10 range. So that's not what you wanted to do. And then you had Derek Carr. Now, we all remember the just on fire performance that the Saints had the first 2 weeks of the season. They beat down the Dallas Cowboys in week two. Week one was another just outrageous performance. They looked like they were going to the Super Bowl, and everybody in New Orleans, trust me on this one, thought the same thing. And then week three happened. And then week four happened. Week five happened. They dropped, if I'm not mistaken, 6 straight games after an on fire start in weeks 1 and 2. And Derek Carr in week one, 27.3 points. And that was as good as it got for Derek Carr in 2024. He never scored that high again. Now, he did have a 25-point performance, but You didn't want anything else to do with Derek Carr. Now, wide receiver. Well, wide receivers kind of pop off, right? Yes. They kind of sustain. Not really. Alan Lazard, yes, with the New York Jets. Not the Alan Lazard that was with the Green Bay Packers. This is Alan Lazard last year with a broke down Aaron Rodgers, and he popped off to the tune of 26.9 points, finished as a wide receiver three. In week six, he had a performance that put him at wide receiver four. Those were his only finishes higher than wide receiver 22. So you may think in week one that you've got, hey, I got a top 10 guy, I got a top five guy. This guy's popping. He is absolutely going to destroy guys in my league. Pump the brakes, back up. Let's look at this a little closer. Maybe it's somebody that didn't perform. So, like this year, Jamar Chase had 4 points against Cleveland. Like, I didn't get to watch the game, but I'm telling you right now that I seriously doubt that Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow are falling off that hard. So, again, pump the brakes. Don't stress. It's going to be okay. Alec Pierce, last year, week one, 25.5 points. The rest of the season, he only had three finishes out of a 17 game season where he finished in the top 12. Now, I get it. We're going to have a wide receiver three that can get us a few points. But when they have performances like 25 points, the expectation is so much greater. So don't worry about it. Calm down. Now, running back. How about Jerome Ford last year, week one, 18.9 points. Put him as a running back 10. His next top 12 finish wasn't until weeks 15 and 16. Guys, what is that going to do for you? Nothing. You've got a 14-week gap where he's just bringing your team down. Now, I will speak from personal experience, knowing that it's hard to let go of players after they have a performance like this. Now, personally, last year, I done lost my mind and traded away Jaden Daniels early in the season because I had Kyler Murray and I thought Kyler Murray was going to be like on point. I thought he was going to bounce back. I thought he had McBride, he had Marvin Harrison. I bought into the hype. Now we're in the hat and we're in this, yes. Washington Nation. I ask for your forgiveness, but both of them kind of popped a little early. So it was like pick your poison, and he was a rookie. So like I can sit here and justify it all day, but I made the wrong choice. Okay. Similar to what we do with God is that, we justify the choices that we make and when we just really need to shut up and ask for forgiveness. So I'm shutting up and asking for forgiveness from Washington Nation for trading away Jaden Daniels last year. But like I said, speaking from personal experience with guys who pop, I actually traded away a couple of years, I think it was a couple of years ago when Joe Mixon was still with the Bengals. He popped off for 42 points. Now, here's the thing. He was absolute hot garbage before that. And there was no way that you were looking at him popping off for 42 points. So I traded him away. The the week before he popped off. Now, I felt really bad because not only did I trade him away, but I traded him to the guy that I was playing that week. So I got double hit. I gave away a player that's just scored 42 points, and I had to face that player that week. But my consolation came when the rest of the season, he never got double digits again, and he got hurt. So I know that if he had hit 42 points on my squad, I never would have got off Joe Mixon. But that's the experience that you have with certain players. Certain guys, you can go really, really high and you can go really, really low. And you're always chasing that high. Does that sound familiar? You're always chasing that feeling instead of doing the research and looking deeper like God wants us to. He wants us to look deeper. He wants us to get closer. But we're always chasing that feeling. See, I told you guys, you can find God in anything, even small, little, minute things that don't really matter, like fantasy football. So let's take a look real quick. We're going to screen share here. We're going to take a look at some players that this year popped off for week one. So let's go quarterback. Now, when you guys see this little minus sign, that means that they're on my squad. So I had Baker Mayfield this week, um, and I was absolutely thrilled to have him. Um, so quarterback, we had Baker Mayfield, cool. Last year finishes as a QB3. So okay, no panic. Expectations met. Patrick Mahomes, 28 points. Now, this is one where all the Patrick Mahomes truthers, the Patrick Mahomies, they want to just stand up in the street, jump up on the chair, yell and scream, do cartwheels and all this stuff, and say, he's back, he's back. But here's the thing. Xavier Worthy isn't playing. He put up a goose egg because he ran into Travis Kelce. Kelce didn't play that well. He got saved with a score. Mahomes was hyper targeting Hollywood Brown, and everybody and their mama is going to be after Hollywood Brown because he probably wasn't drafted in your league. So he's going to be one of the top waiver wire ads for this week. Now, here's the thing. Do you really think that Hollywood is back? Or when Rice gets back, is he just a rental? So there's nothing wrong with a rental, but I want to make sure that you guys understand that he's going to be a rental. So if you are hurting right now, maybe you had some injuries, maybe something happened, maybe you're unhappy with the wide receiver room and you want to go out and add Hollywood Brown, that's fine. I get it. But make sure that you're looking at it from a realistic point of view that once Rashid Rice gets back, once Xavier Worthy gets back, how valuable is he really and productive is he really going to be? So, number 3 this week was JJ McCarthy with a performance last night that was one for the books. Now, his stat line isn't really that impressive. If you look at his stat line right here, 13 completions on 20 attempts for 143 yards. He did have 2 touchdowns and he had a rushing touchdown. And if we look at Mahomes, now Mahomes, good yardage, good volume, had the score through the air, and had one on the ground. We look at Baker. Now, I'm not really happy with the yardage that he got, so that's a little concerning, but he was extremely effective in the touchdown area. He got 3 touchdowns. So that led to him, being there. Now, number 4 on the list, right behind JJ was Caleb Williams. Caleb, 6 rushes for 58 yards and a touchdown. And then we had 21 uh, completions on 35 attempts for 210 yards and a touchdown. And then when you see this little symbol right here, that means that they're on someone's team. So it's expected. Mayfield's going to be drafted, Mahomes, McCarthy, even Caleb Williams. But right here, yes, Michael Penix is on the waiver wire. So if you're looking for a backup, now look, I talked up Michael Penix many, many times along with JJ McCarthy. I said that McCarthy was going to be special. Okay, now number three overall for quarterbacks, week one. I'm cool with that for McCarthy. What I'm not comfortable with is his seemingly being lost and not having a pocket presence and wanting to take off running all the time. So I'm hoping that that can get corrected before week two. I'm going to chalk the way that he played in the first half to nerves. Even though he's a second year player, this was his first NFL start, but there is something special in this kid that I see. There's also something special I see in Michael Penix. Now, he is a little older when it comes to a second year player, but we look at 26 points, six rushing attempts, 21 yards, and a touchdown. Now, here's what this tells me. If he rushed six times for 21 yards and a touchdown, that means that he really was looking to throw. He just took what he had in front of him that the defense gave him. And we look down here, 27 completions and 42 attempts. I mean, look, guys, in the top six, there is nobody threw that much. And he almost had 300 yards. Okay, that is absolutely phenomenal. Now he was playing Tampa, but next week he gets JJ McCarthy on Sunday night with the Vikings. Guys, if the Vikings let Caleb Williams get this kind of stat line, I'm I'm waiting to see what Penix puts up next week. So if you need a quarterback, maybe the guy that you got didn't perform that well. Maybe he's got a rough matchup and you need somebody who's got an easier matchup. If Caleb Williams can throw for 210 or 21 for 35 for 210 yards and touchdown and rush for another one, and Michael Penix against Tampa, who's got a better defense, puts up 27 for 42 for almost 300 and a score, and then rushes for another one. Guys, I'm I'm begging for this matchup next week. Okay. So next up, we got Jalen Hurts. Now, Hurts playing Dallas. Look, they're going to use Saquon Barkley a ton. And we see that he had two rushing touchdowns, nothing in the passing department. So that's what put him in the top six for this week. 19 of 23 for 152 yards. Guys, that's horrible. And you felt this if you had A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith. Guys, it's not going to be a secret how Philly is going to win. Philly is going to win through Saquon Barkley. They're not going to win through Jalen Hurts. Okay. Jalen Hurts is the break glass in case of emergency guy for Philly. Their main guy is Saquon. It will be Saquon, and that's how they're going to win games. They're going to throw the ball when they have to throw the ball, but that defense is smothering. So take that for what it's worth. And we know that Jalen Hurts can perform, but does he have to? My suggestion is this. If you are weak at either running back or wide receiver, and you've got, let's just say you've got maybe Mayfield or with Hurts, or maybe you can go out and pick up Penix and you have Hurts. So maybe go to the manager who is maybe a little disenchanted with their quarterback, and we'll run through that in a minute. and maybe offer Hurts for a wide receiver that they're heavy at, plus a running back, something. The name recognition with Jalen Hurts alone should get you a haul. And I believe that you can maybe plug in Michael Penix, maybe Baker's, gettable for a little something extra, but definitely Michael Penix is somebody that you want to target for the rest of the year. So let's go down the next six. We had Kyler, Jaden Daniels, Brock Purdy, Jordan Love, Geno Smith, and Drake May. Okay. Now, right here, the only one, Jordan Love, 188 yards, 2 touchdowns. He got saved in this one with a couple of scores. Um, the wide receiving room in Green Bay is just so jumbled. It's not even funny. It was this week. It looked like it was all Jordan Reed or Jalen Reed. So keep an eye on that one. Now, this is the top 12. Let's go down here to the next tier. Trevor Lawrence, and guys, I'll apologize now for giving the advice to start as a start for Trevor Lawrence and Bryce Young. Blew it on that one. My bad. But we got some questions to answer week one, and that's what week one is all about. Jared Goff, high expectations there. Now, this one right here, Joey Flacco. Uh, a lot of people thought that he was going to be able to be something in Cleveland, and he was going against Cincinnati, and Cincinnati does not have a good defense. So, now Matt Stafford, he only finishes with 16 points, but he had 257, 245 yards and a touchdown, 21 of 29, and Puka had an absolutely fabulous day. So let's go down here real quick. Now, here's one that I want to highlight, or a couple that I want to highlight. Joe Burrow, Bo Nix, CJ Stroud, and Dak Prescott. These guys are way down the list. Now, Prescott, I told you guys to set him. I'll victory lap on that just because it was Philly's defense, guys. I don't see Dak Prescott staying at this point. Calm down. It's okay. I do want to have concern for CJ Stroud going up against the Rams. I don't think that the Rams are that good on defense to where they hold him to this. Plus the fact that I don't know what they're doing in Houston with their offense, period. Bryce Young, look, I'll say this was an off game for him. I wouldn't recommend if you have better options, then you have better options. I thought that this was going to be a much easier time for Bryce Young. Um, if you want to take him and stash him on your bench, if you've got room, fine, I get it. I'm still waiting to see the Bryce Young from the back half of last year, which I fully believe will emerge. Joe Burrow, look, just take a breath. It's okay. Cleveland does have a good defense, but it shouldn't have been like this. So, let's touch on running back for a minute. So, again, one of the reasons I won, Derrick Henry, 32 points. And then we have Bijan CMC, who actually played. This was a big question going into week one. So we got that question answered for now. Definitely, this is a guy who is going to either be a world beater or beat your world, one or the other. So 23, 23 points, 22 attempts, 73 yards, receiving, 69 yards, rushing, and no touchdowns. That all came through the air with Brock Purdy. So, um, James Cook, Javonte Williams. Now, the Javonte Williams one, this one, this. I would pause on. Yes, go ahead and feel good about 20 points. But if you remember at the beginning of the game, uh, their defensive lineman Carter got ejected for spitting on Dak Prescott Thursday night before the first snap even happened. So they leaned on Javonte Williams. Now, I saw the game. This is the game I actually sat and watched beginning to end. Um, Now, this is something that um, I feel like you definitely want to keep an eye on because I don't expect this every time from Javonte Williams. Now, Travis Etienne. Now, here's the big news coming out of Jacksonville. Tank Bigsby just got traded to Philly. So if you have Travis Etienne, you see that they leaned on Travis Etienne. He was their guy. So then we have Barkley at 7, Chuba Hubbard. Now, Chuba Hubbard, even, and this is coming from the Ballers, even in a negative game script with against Jacksonville, they still leaned on him. They did not bring in Rico Dowdle to sub him out in the game. He was still in there for a good portion of the game, and 18 points. And then Dylan Sampson. Now, another big news that came in was that Quinshon Judkins was signed by Cleveland. So if you got Dylan Sampson, my suggestion is for redraft, if you can get something for him, get something for him because once Judkins shows up, this is probably looking like a 50-50 split in the backfield, okay? Devon A-Chain. Devon did well despite Tua's performance. Got you 17 points. Brees Hall got you 17. That was a big one. That right there, if Brees Hall is back, then you got a value pick in your draft because he went so late. Aaron Jones last night got you 16 points, had 8 attempts, and got 23 yards. But the big thing is through the air, which I didn't see Jordan Mason cutting into this a whole lot, so that's good. Uh, Bill Krusky, Bill, and if you don't know who I'm talking about, I'm going to talk about Jacoby Krusky Merritt. Bill Krusky got 15 points, 10 attempts, 82 yards, and a touchdown. Guys, I'm loving seeing this, and he is definitely a trade target for me. When I see Austin Eckler taking a backseat, and remember, Eckler has been vocal about having less work. So if they're going to use him in a lesser capacity of his own doing, then the only other guy to step up is going to be Bill Krusky. So, and I call him Bill because that's what he wants to be called. That's what he goes by. Jahmyr Gibbs at 15 points. Some people might be panicking a little bit about this. 9 attempts, 19 yards, but 10 receptions through the air. If you had him in PPR, look, guys, Green Bay is just that good in defense. And Thursday night, they get Washington. So we'll see what they look like against a quarterback that can actually move. J.K. Dobbins and Bucky Irving, Connor, all these guys performing decent. I want to scroll down here to the single digits. RG Harvey is a guy who we had big hopes for. 9 points is not what you're looking for. David Montgomery, again, I chalk this up to the defense and the absence of Ben Johnson. So that's something to take into account. Mario Hampton, look, it was KC. KC's defense, their run defense is one of the top in the league, so I'm not really stressed about that. Tony Pollard, they were going up against Denver. Again, Denver was a big thing. Now, Braylon Allen, now we're starting to get into the waiver wire guys. Braylon Allen, Kenny Gainwell. and Nick Chubb, who isn't on waivers. He's actually in on somebody's team. But 6 points, 7 points for Allen, six again for Gainwell. Guys, I'm not confident in any of these three guys. So let's go ahead and we're gonna breeze through wide receiver real quick. Okay, so number one, Zay Flowers. And look, I got Zay in a dynasty league. I thought I blacked out when I drafted him, and I tried all off season to try and deal this guy. Nobody wanted him. So thankfully, he's still on my squad and was still in my starting lineup. 28 points. Keon Coleman. Now, if you guys watch this game was absolutely nail biter right down to the end. We thought that the Ravens were going to just blow out Buffalo. They were down by 15. They turned around, came back. Now, one Coleman's touchdown here. Yes, he finished with 112 yards. Yes, he had 8 receptions, but this touchdown was actually a deflection that wasn't intended for him. So if we take that away, uh, that's 6 points. He actually ends up with 19 points, which would put him down here with Marvin Harrison Jr. and Cortland Sutton. So you guys gotta take into consideration how these players got their points, but you can't deny the 8 receptions. We'll call it 7 receptions, and we'll call it 108 yards because I think it was like from the 4 yard line where this tip came from. So, um, Coleman could be the number one in Buffalo because nobody else stepped up. Quentin Johnson, look, this was a surprise for everybody. 25 points, 5 receptions, 79 yards, and 2 touchdowns. From everything I'm hearing, this is going to be the guy to target in the red zone down when they're down there and they need end zone targets. This is going to be their guy. Um, Mike Ibuka, look, I am over the moon thrilled about this performance. 24 points, even had a rush, 4 receptions on 6 targets, 67 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Now the production here isn't really where I'm thrilled with, but the looks in the red zone, I'm loving that. As I said earlier, Puka had a good day, 23 points, 10 receptions. So we see that Matthew Stafford is targeting him heavily. 130 yards, 10 receptions, 100. That's absolutely phenomenal. Didn't get in the end zone. So if you're getting this kind of production, you don't need that touchdown dependency in order to pop off. Now, just imagine if he had a touchdown. If he had a touchdown, that's wide receiver one on the week. And then we got Debo. Look, Debo, 1 carry, 19 yards, and a touchdown. So they're getting him involved there. And he has the power to do the 19 yards. 7 receptions, 10 targets for 77 yards. So I like this. I actually traded for Debo. I traded away Devontae Smith because I I don't want Smith in that area. So let's see, Garrett Wilson. Wilson had a good day, almost 100 yards and a touchdown. That was that was refreshing to see. And guys, again, it's your forgiveness because I told you to sit Justin Fields, but who knew Justin Fields was going to pop off like that against Pittsburgh? So, um, JSN had an absolutely phenomenal day. 9 targets, 124 yards. Now, let's go down here. We're going to get some guys who didn't perform that well that I don't want you guys to freak out about, okay? Brian Thomas Jr., one catch, seven targets. Okay, now this is an accuracy thing and got 11 yards. So 9 points. Okay, now he did get a touchdown, so he got in the end zone. That's great, but he's not being utilized like he should. Okay, now Travis Hunter is out targeting him, not by much, but he did catch more. So again, I didn't watch this game, but when you see both quarterback and wide receiver struggle, like both wide receivers struggle like this, it does give you cause for pause. But I believe that Liam Cohen can turn, the head coach can turn this around, um, and always bet on talent. Now, I know you're not happy with the Brian Thomas thing because you probably had to take him back half of the first, top half of the second in your drafts. So you're wanting a better production out of this guy, and I don't blame you. Amon-Ra St. Brown is another one I'm a little leery on personally, but again, I'll bet on talent. DJ Moore. Now, DJ Moore did take a vicious hit at the end of last night's game. I actually saw that one. Um, so something to keep an eye on there. And I think that's oh, here we go. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, guys. Two was just horrible. So I'm looking for, if I'm not mistaken, Zach Wilson as the backup. Don't quote me on that. I'll double check for you guys for Thursday. But Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, both 8 and 7 points, both of them with 4 targets. Hill was, or I'm sorry, both of them with 4 receptions. One had 40 yards, one had 30 yards. That is not what you're looking for. So, cause for concern there. My advice for Hill and Waddle owners, wait for them to have that one big game with Tua and then trade them away if possible. Okay, and trade them on the hype. So there's little highlights of week one. Uh, what I'll talk about next episode, of course, my start sit, and I'll throw out a couple of guys that maybe you need to look at as trade targets. If you guys have any questions about who to trade for, who to trade away, hit me up down below. And remember to subscribe, like, and share. Um, now, one thing, let's see. Oh, if you guys do subscribe to the channel, which I hope you do, down the bottom, I want you guys to go back and check out the punishment for finishing last as inspiration because my boy Marshall owed up, paid up, did his punishment. It's an absolutely hilarious video. Go down there and check it out. It's only like 4 minutes long, so it's not going to take you a long time, but go check it out. We're trying to make Marshall go viral. So go down, go check him out. It's Punishment Fulfilled down in the archives. Go back and watch it. Absolutely hilarious and the epitome of being a good sport in fantasy football. So, guys, week two is right around the corner. We kick off with my boys, and you guys know what's up there if you've been watching. It's Green Bay. So this is going to be a house divided on Thursday night. So y'all pray for us because I can't afford therapy. So we need we need some God presence in this house come Thursday night with Washington taking on Green Bay. It's going to be interesting to say the least, but hopefully my boys will prevail. Um, I really don't like to lose, just letting you guys know. I am competitive. But anyway, yeah, we kick off Thursday night football, Washington, Green Bay. It's going to be amazing, not only for football, but for fantasy. So if you got questions down below, hit me up. Let me know what they are. I'll help you out. And good luck this upcoming week. Remember, start sit on Thursday's episode. And don't forget the trade that happened, Tank Bigsby to Philadelphia. That is definitely not boding well for Will Shipley. Um, so that's why he is no longer on my roster. So I loved Will Shipley. I think he's an outstanding back, but with Tank Bigsby coming into town, it kind of muddies up the backfield, the backup for Saquon. So, guys, remember, keep God centered. I know we got a bunch of stuff going around. I myself have a bunch of stuff that's going down uh, around me right now at this point in time, but keeping God centered is above all most important. And remember that things should revolve around Him, not around you. Definitely not around fantasy football. So, guys, remember, as always, thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate you greatly. Make sure you subscribe, like, share, smash the notification button so you know when I put out new content. And good luck in this upcoming week, too. And as always, remember, football is good, but God is greater. We'll see you guys next time on Faith in Football. God bless.